Good morning.
Good morning, you guys. God, it's not being ready. It's what day is it, Kelly?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Oh my gosh, we missed you guys. We've been all over the place, so everybody kind of different situation. But let's get our day started positive because we want to have an awesome Tuesday. So let's start it off with our sound. Yay!
I missed that
sound. All right, so that is our sound that kind of tunes us into just really getting our mindset dialed in on how we want to experience this day, how we want to be ourselves. So let's take 3 deep breaths in, breathe in good, breathe out bad. That kind of warmed me up a little bit. It's starting to get warm here already in California, Southern California.
Hi, Jody.
Good morning, Jody. We missed you, girl.
I know. We missed everybody.
I know, you guys. Thanks for hopping on with us. Good morning, Annie. My very, very first mentors. I know I say that every time, but not everybody hears it, Annie, so I got to share. Annie's a kick-ass mama. She's when I say mama, just like lady, woman. She's a awesome little Australian Shepherd, I think, is her favorite breed. Pork chop and all the other cute little dogs that she's had. She lives on this really awesome horse ranch. Beautiful, beautiful horse ranch in a beautiful area. And she has just been a rock solid person all my life since I've known her, just totally crushing it in terms of like being super consistent with her vision and execution of that vision, and has absolutely been an awesome example for me of what a successful person thinks like, acts like, how they take care of their body, how they take care of their mind, how they have great solid relationships. So I appreciate you, Annie, so much for role modeling that without even maybe being conscious of how it's impacting other people. But even though we haven't always been close to each other over the years, since you were my boss way back when I was 22, I've always been watching you, and you've been such an awesome inspiration and role model for me, even when I didn't understand what you were role modeling. So thank you for that. And she has an awesome program called Lines in the Sand. You guys, you have to click on her name when you see her pop up. Annie, I would love for you to drop it in right here in the comments. If you guys want to know like how to draw that line in the sand to separate the junk that you don't want in your life anymore, old patterns, old habits, all that kind of stuff, and set a course for a new life. She's got an awesome program, and she's an amazing Harvard graduate, personal development guru herself. She has amazing, amazing content to share. And thank you for joining us, Annie. I appreciate you so much. Jody, I have to do a little plug for Jody, because our girl Jody, how many pounds has she lost now? Over 20. Jody, you have to post how many pounds you've lost on our challenge and documentary. So far, we've just gotten started not that long ago. We're about to start another one. But she's lost, I think, over 20 pounds in 30 days following the HEROMOM diet challenge and documentary program. And not only that, she's brought on 25 people.
Yeah, crazy.
Nation. Yeah, the girl is amazing. She is a leader. She is also a role model. What an amazing example of great attitude, total dedication, just putting her mind to like such a positive person to have in people's lives. That's why so many people follow her. You guys, Jody, you got to put your 21 pounds. 21. You got to put your stuff on there too, so they can click on you. Jody sells really cute jewelry, you guys, for super affordable prices. So you have to go check her out. We're huge fans of it. I know Michelle, I think, buys every single thing Jody has.
Right?
Like that. But we love her to pieces, and so does everybody else. You guys are already making me feel so good about this day. Thank you guys so much for joining us. So we like to start off with gratitudes. I just said 2 people that I'm super grateful for. So Kelly, what are you grateful for today?
I'm grateful for 2 things. I am grateful for my husband. I've missed him the last week. I've been gone, and he just is able to talk me off a ledge. I'll leave that one right there. But the other one is I am so grateful for, when I think about being gone this past week, Paul and I were at High Performance Academy learning and growing under our mentor, Brendan Burchard. And it's because of those types of things and the personal development that I have the tools to have a uh, productive conversation with my son. So, I mean, Paula knows we've been going through this, and there was something that came up, over the week that I was gone, and I was very calm in sending the text, and we dealt with what we needed to deal with when I got home, but creating that safe space for him. I was able to say, all right, dude, and I start with, I'm not mad. Let's just create a plan. And we had a really productive conversation yesterday, and we said, duh, 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 this is what we need to do. Cause he kept wanting to push it off. Well, I got it handled. I said, I am 100% sure and know that you are capable of handling it, but let's put a plan in place so that you can tick off those boxes and you're not overwhelmed, and it doesn't all have to happen at once. And so we did those couple things yesterday, and he's got his little things that he needs to take care of today. And otherwise I would have just been like, you need to do this. And he would have been like, I got it handled, and slamming doors, and
That's what he really sounds like.
yeah, exactly. So he's like, I know, Mom. He'll do this. I know, Mom. So it's, but it wasn't that. I created the open space, the safe space, so he could be open and we could have a conversation. And I told him, I said, I'm here to support you. I'm here to make sure that you are successful, and I'll do whatever you need me to do. And I'm learning too that I can't put my tasks and my ideas and what I want to do, how I would solve a problem, on him, because his is slightly different. So I took the tools that I've learned that finally were drilled in this weekend. It was like, okay, nail in head. Instead of saying, I think you should do this, instead I said, this is something that I would do. Is that, sound like a good idea to you? Or how would you change it or do it so you're successful? And he's like, well, he only changed like one little thing. I mean, and it wasn't even that significant, but it made him feel like he had ownership of that process.
Yeah.
So it made a huge difference. Yeah. So I'm grateful for those tools that finally, after 6 times going, that one was finally drilled in, and it was like, I did that.
Okay, so many of my favorite things that she said in this whole story, but that last piece, Kelly, of 6 times finally it drilled in, I think that's so key for people to understand. I remember when I first started making changes in my health and in my life, with my family, with myself, and then wanting my family to also adopt my new beliefs, my new the ways that I decided that I want to live my life. And they're like, I'm not interested in that. That's your deal. That's not my deal. I don't want to stop eating Oreo cookies and Coca-Cola. I won't say which family member that was. But either way, none of them wanted to make the changes. So it was really frustrating for me. And I didn't get it. I was like, they don't love me. They don't believe in me. And it was all about me, right? But it took years of me closing this and just doing the stuff, just showing them that I consistently show up this way. And with Kelly, it was actual conversations, and I had conversations too. But the whole point being that, it was 20 years of me being obese before I made a decision that I finally stuck with. And it wasn't because they're in Southern California. It's not because there's no gyms anywhere, or trainers, or nutritionists, or experts who could have helped me not be obese. There was no shortage of support that was out there. It was just, I needed to hear it X number of times over 20 years until it sunk in and I was ready to actually take action. So we have to keep bringing these things to our families. As Brennan says in his book, The Charge, they're trying to bring them into the light
Yeah.
so that they have that. One of those times is going to hit, it's just going to sink in, like Kelly said. And we have to, fight for that. We have to be consistent and be patient and trust ourselves that we're showing up the best that we can, so that, we have to go through all of these barriers, right? We've created old patterns. My family wasn't on board with me when I was making changes because I had 20 years of going through drive-throughs, cooking mac and cheese, drinking sodas, eating candies, and all that stuff. So I had to show them that my new way is not the way I've been doing it for the last 2 decades. So for my kids, it was their whole life, right? Before they would believe that something really is changing, because why would they make an effort if it's not going to stay that way? So same with Kelly and Gabe. She's been working on that relationship, and already a strong, good relationship, but just trying to make it even better, her legacy, right? And consistently working towards that and showing up a specific certain way. He's starting to go, okay, this is my mom now. Like, she's real here in this way. I can trust this. I can step into this and be vulnerable and truly express and not be guarded that she's going to get upset if I answer a certain way. So it's just so amazing. And, so many times you have to make those connection points and have those conversations before those changes start to happen. So I think that that's huge.
And the most awesome byproduct of that I realized last night was, for me, my stress was not, I wasn't like internally storming. I was just like, I was very calm. I felt very peaceful about the whole thing. Whereas before I'd be like so high strung, and then Dan would get, a piece of it because he was there, So it was just like, not that I felt disconnected, but I just felt really at peace because I was handling it and I was helping him handle it. So I wasn't, creating havoc for myself. So I just felt very calm about it. And I almost thought, gosh, that was a weird feeling for me. That was super weird for me because I'm so used to being like, oh, okay, that was so hard for me. And it was just like, it's not that hard. It's, it's just that drilling in that it's here now. It's like, okay. And I can own that. And I love the way it made me feel. And I know he walked away, with that same feeling, that it was calm for him. He probably walked away going, okay, who is that person? But he is learning to trust that person more because that person's the one showing up, not the old person. So definitely.
Which is changing how he shows up. And he needs time to adjust to that too, right? Because that right now is a conscious effort for him. Mom is consciously making an effort to be this new person. She's consistently showing up that way. It's what I've always wanted.
Yeah.
So I've got to show up different too. Like, I can't be old Gabe when mom's showing up new. So there's changes that ripple that we always talk about. Like, when our kids get to that age where they're mature enough, it has to be a conscious effort because there's so much conditioning. When they're younger, it's a little easier because they're just like, oh, so like instinctive. It's nice and friendly, then I'll be nice and friendly. They're not
right.
We haven't quite messed them up that much yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Jody said, oh my goodness, Paula, that is so me. Oh man, girl, you and I have to like talk just one-on-one sometime and compare stories, because I think we have a lot in common. I know that we have a lot in common, but our actual personal stories, I think we probably have so many parallels. The question of the day, you guys, to help us get in that positive mindset is, how do you anchor yourself? I love this question.
I know. I can think of two things right away.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, first off, I anchor myself with my routines. I am a very routine person. So if my life is feeling like, whoa, it's time to like go, okay, what's messed up? What are you not doing? What are you not doing? Because and it's not a task list type thing. It's just, how I go about my day. Maybe I'm, like yesterday, we all woke up late. That is not part of my routine. I had been waking up at 5 a.m. all last week, just because we were in a weird place and stuff like that. And I woke up at 5, but I fell back asleep because I was so tired. And then I woke up, was like, wah, and then the whole household is waking up the same way, So my whole day was supercharged from the very beginning. Just things like that. I wasn't even able to do my planner in the morning. Trying to get back to my routine was like, okay, I need to take off this coat and I need to put on my routine jacket, because it's what puts me in a good frame of mind, what calms me, what settles me. So my routines are very much that way. Same with, I got my workout back in, that was back to normal. But like I said, everything just felt like I was a little bit going, okay, let's go, all day long. The second thing that grounds me is my husband and my friends, my growth friends for sure. Paula called me out on some shit called me out on some of my stuff this weekend. And I've been thinking a lot about that, and I was sharing that with my husband. And it's so funny because I do close down, and Paula's like, just say something, just tell me to F off or something. And I'm like, I don't feel that way, because I knew everything she was telling me was true. I just needed to let it land and massage it and deal with it. But I was telling my husband about that, and he goes, "Oh, Kelly, I would have slapped you silly." I know. I said, "That's exactly what Paula said."
Like, and if Dan was here, he'd be right here with me.
Exactly. I said, "That's exactly what Paula said." So those people ground me from those stories that I tell myself that are way out here, that to me are the balloons that are tethered and flying away. It's like whatever that story is, it's that balloon that's going so far out of the universe when it's let go that I can't get it back. So I need people like Paula, like my husband, that say, "Girl," and it's like, and they're the one going, "Here's your freaking balloon, just pop it and go." So it's that grounds me, because it helps me to remember the person that I want to be, that I've grown to be, and that I still have yet to achieve that part. And it's not, some of those things are it's just weird. It's just those old habits, those old stories. And I just need to rein that in. And so those people keep me grounded.
So those are two awesome anchors that Kelly mentioned, and we can have multiple anchors, not just one. I know typically, right, the scenario of an anchor, the idea of an anchor is one anchor, but all of them together kind of create that heaviness of the anchor. So the more things that you have that keep you solid and know where you are, creates more stability with that anchor. So you don't have a little dinky anchor that if a big wave comes, it still moves you around. Like, right. You don't want an anchor that only keeps you still when it's smooth and there's no trials or tribulations coming. You want one that no matter what storms are going on outside, it is on that ground and you are not going anywhere. You're going to stay afloat and stay solid and survive the storm. For me, I've really been exploring for the last several months, just really getting dialed in and tight with the I want to try to not use woo-woo words. Just like that inner strength, that's the capabilities within. I really believe that all of us have these strengths within ourselves, that we don't need all this external. We need external things for certain reasons, but that we don't need to always be going outside of ourselves to feel safe or pave a path or blaze a trail or be strong for ourselves, or step into scary situations without doubt. Like, that stuff is within us to do. And so many times we just, we access surface level of what everything going on within this is capable of doing. So for me, my anchor is always to say, I can do this, just me. Not that I want to do it alone. I don't want to do it alone. But if I can't get control of what's going on in here, it doesn't matter what external things I bring in. I'm not going to be unshakable. I'll be temporarily succeeding maybe with it by leaning on something outside of myself. But for me, I feel like the external things are almost like willpower. You only need them or like a turbo set, right? But keeping your foot on the gas pedal and sustaining momentum, that's got to be all right here. And then when we bring in external things, it's to help us get a boost, like to go a little faster, to move to another level when we leverage the external things that we bring in to boost our momentum. But the anchor has got to be, for me, that what's going on inside and how can I leverage those strengths, those awarenesses, that consciousness, that that intention that I want to set for where I want to go. I have control of that. So how can I take responsibility to be and experience a situation the way I want to, without having to feel that I have to depend on something outside of myself to make that happen? And then I can think of my resources that I need once I'm anchored here. That's been huge for me this year. I'm going to go super deep in studying this because I've never explored it the way that I have this year. And I just think that this is something that when I think about the world and what's going on right now, and this came to me a lot over the weekend when we were at High Performance Academy, and just really seeing all the dynamics of different people. And we do breakout groups all weekend long. And so just listening to different stories of people and their struggles and what they've overcome, and realizing that there is a huge like awakening that's happening amongst our generation. And I think a generation younger and a generation older, where, you know, we're not coming out of post-depression, post-war, anymore. Yet so many of the systems in our culture are set up to help get us back on track from coming out of those times. And we're not worried about food, clothing, and shelter anymore. I mean, we're worried about it in the sense that we want to provide that, but that's so accessible for most of us now that we don't need to think war mentality, or third world mentality. We are focused on fulfillment. You know, we want life to be meaningful. We want to know, why are we here? What are we doing here? And how are we going to make that impact? And if we're always thinking it's got to be the job, it's got to be the finances, it's got to be that car, it's got to be the family, it's got to be all these things outside of us, because that's what our culture was teaching us what happiness looked like coming out of war and depression, then we're missing what this brings right here. Right. So for me, that's been huge, huge, huge. Hey, Ria. And I want to explore that. Hey. That's my anchor. I know that's where it starts. And then everything else is there for me to take this even higher.
I love what you said, because there are so many external forces at work. There's always the next best thing, or get this or get that, or, you know, have this. And if you're watching TV, you're bombarded with all that stuff, when really what we need is, right here. It's here, and it's here, and it's just getting quiet. Sometimes it's just, life is moving fast. And if you get caught up in that rat race, then all of a sudden you're just running. You're going, what the heck am I running for?
Yeah.
If you don't know where you're going and what you're doing, you'll just be running in place. It's like that treadmill. It's not going to go forward. It's just and you might fall off and go backwards. It's so and it's funny because we talk about this, Michelle and Paula and I talk a lot, and it's that whole, the KISS principle. Keep it simple. Just keep it simple. It's 1 + 1 is 2. Who cares about the higher math? That will come later, but you have to, grounding. You have to ground yourself. You have to anchor yourself in the fundamentals. And we come into this world naked. We're all we have. This is it, and we need to, we need to get back to that. And so exactly what you're saying, it's just like, without, all the woo-woo stuff, but it's, just learning to be with yourself and be okay with that too. We need each other, of course, but how often, whoever's watching out there, how often do you sit and get quiet, even for 5 minutes in a day? And I'm not talking about when you're in the bathroom. I'm talking about just quiet, and whatever you might think about or not think about. It's okay to be quiet for 5 minutes.
It's not weakness, you guys. It's next level. Our baseline
self-care
has been established. Yeah, our baseline has been established. We have food, clothing, shelter. We have access to very affordable living, and work that we can do. Work outside of the home, work inside of the home, work at night, work in the morning. Like, jobs typically for most people aren't an issue. I understand unemployment here and there, but we also have tons of access to education, to change our skills, to grow our knowledge, to grow our wisdom, to serve in so many different ways. We have access to so many human beings across the globe. There's so many ways that we can provide for ourselves now, more than ever has been. So we've proven that we have established that as a stable, accessible thing. That next level for us is, every time you establish a new baseline, that baseline gets raised up, what's the next thing that we want to go for? So for me, I sense this awakening, like a spiritual awakening that's happening. People want more soul in their life. They want to feel more connected to themselves, to things outside of themselves, but are still the things that affect within, just nature, spiritual realm, other people's energy, however you want to call it. But people are hungry for that connection, to understand how that ties into our being and who that is, and how we get to be, and how we get to choose to be, how we get to experience the world, how we get to experience a moment in our lives. And is that authentically who we want to be ourselves, not who this person wants us to be, or that teacher thinks we should be, or our parents the way that they think we should go, or our spouse or our kids or our friends, but ourselves. Just really coming from that total inner center and really questioning and exploring what that is. And that's not easy to do, because we're creating that right now, that culture for our future generations. What does that look like? Celebrating uniqueness. We don't all have to get that house with 3 bedrooms and on the in the track home cookie cutter lot with the 2 cars, a station wagon or minivan now,
Station
or
wagon.
SUV, 2.5 kids and a dog and a cat, like with the college degrees. And that was important for our country's culture at a time, but that's not where we are now. We don't need to be men dressed in black and all look the same and do the same thing. We've established that. So it's time to break out, rip the suit off like Superman, and
like HEROMOM.
Yes, and be ourselves and be accepting of other people being themselves, celebrating our uniqueness, not feeling like we have to be, fit into somebody else's description. I just think that that's so key. I look around on social media and I'm seeing so many of my friends, especially the ones I went to high school with, because they're my generation, just doing uniquely different things. Like, I have one friend, her name's Katrina Bryant. She was on the swim team with me in high school. She's 1 year older than me. And I always thought of her as like a bookworm, super, super smart. She said, always seems super intelligent to me. And she is very intelligent, very kind of meek mannered, like did kind of everything right. To me, she looked like the person who just always made the right choices, but kind of maybe more on the safe conservative side. So she was super stable, super reliable. And then just recently, I starting to post a lot of artwork and just like things that she makes with her hands. She's super creative with like crafty things, but they look really awesome. She paints, she puts things together, like all kinds of stuff. And I was just blown away, because my old conditioning culturally was intelligent people aren't crafty, like brainiacs and proper, people who make all the right decisions. They just don't, it's almost risky to be artistic. And she didn't strike me as a risky person. And so when I saw that, and that she was just like putting a lot of it out there, I just encouraged her. I just cheered her on, because I just thought it was so cool that that's always been in her. And she's never expressed that, as far as I know. I've not seen that. And that she's doing that. And a lot of her posts now are around that. And I just thought, that's her unique ability. That's her authentic self expressing and not fitting into a box that somebody else thinks she should be. And I just thought that was just so super cool. So I see that all over the internet. That's just a tiny little example that hopefully is relatable for you guys. But, that I feel like the anchor is us being fully aware of our uniqueness and all the power and strength and what's accessible within ourselves that supports that uniqueness. So that we don't have to rely on others for that.
And it comes it just comes full circle to what we talked about, like, I think probably 2 weeks ago now, but, and I have this, and I think I showed you before, is the definition for creative expression is just, sharing your unique identity with the world. So, it's like, it's making your mark, whether that is, in the super nerdy coding stuff, or in the, anything. I mean, I think about it too, like, as I grow into my own authenticity, I'm trying to share more of who I am. And I live my life in a soundtrack. I do. And
She's a jukebox.
It's just usually one-liners, but I do. I live my life that way, and I wasn't sharing that with people. So the people that I was with didn't know that about me. My family knew because I sing like crazy all the time. I sing to the dog, I sing to the cat, I sing to my husband, my son. But I'm trying to share and be that more often. And it's usually just those little one-liners. But that's creative about me. I mean, that's, but it makes people smile. It makes people laugh. It makes them join in song. I mean, so it's, as I share that, it's been, a nice transition for me too, to pick up on that and understand that. So it's creative expression. There's so much more to it. I'm starting to get that. I'm starting to understand it.
And it's a human drive. And
Yes.
in Kelly's story, that's proven, because even though she didn't do it outside of her, where she felt safe to be authentically herself, she still did it. She has to do it. She can't keep that locked in.
I can't.
She can't even if she didn't express it to anybody. I guarantee you, in the shower, when she's home alone, it's
in my head.
Right. So, and there's no reason to keep that inside. But yet, culture, for a period of time, our social culture, there was like this kind of social oppression of doing that. But that's like, it's so outdated, you guys. It's not where we are now. And I think it's so important, especially for our generation, that we open this up. There still has to be balance. It can't just be all that way. We've got to keep doing the things that matter in terms of that, sustaining the stability for our kids' generations growing up, but bringing those two together in such a way that people feel free, more freedom, and less, like stuck in a life, because people are hitting their mid 40s and 50s and they're going, look at all that I've achieved. I have a lot of money. I have a beautiful house. I have children. I have a nice car. I have a great job, but I'm divorced. I feel lost. I don't feel like fulfilled. And they still know that they're missing something, or they're married, not divorced, and still feel like they're missing something. And it's just creating this tension socially, because we're just searching. Let me try this. Let me try this. Let me try this. And but we're not finding that connection we need within ourselves. So it's so important to have an anchor. We'd love to know what your guys' anchors are. Share with us. What anchors you in the storm? Not in the calm, but in the storm. And what is that? How does that relate to an inner strength? Something within you that you draw upon, that keeps you anchored. So no matter what's going on outside, no matter what external things are accessible, you can keep it together right here. What is that?
Tell us. We want to know.
Tell us, please.
Please.
You guys, we so appreciate you joining us this morning. We're so happy to be back with you guys. We have tons of really cool things to share from High Performance Academy, where we were for the last week until Sunday. And yesterday we just kind of needed a day to sort of recover from the whole thing, because it's a pretty intense multiple days, but filled with so much amazing stuff. We get these journals.
Yeah.
Whenever we go to these events,
all the notes,
we
take
fill
all
them
the
up
notes.
with pages and pages and pages of notes, lots of things. What I like to do is, I'm just going to throw this out there, because since we're talking about the journal, whenever I go to an event like this, I always skip the first couple of pages. The first couple of pages I leave blank, because inevitably somebody's going to recommend books. And so I always leave that as my list of recommended books page to go forward and read about. I'll put the titles, the author's name if it's mentioned, and kind of what it's about. And then if I have time, I'll even write a note like what I think that could, what in my life that I'm trying to grow with that benefit. And then I always like to fold the edges over. So I always fold the edges of the pages like this. You can kind of see like every page sort of has that going on there. And the reason I do that is so that when I take my notes, I can make little notes here. I kind of have a legend. I'll use, for example, this M I use to indicate this is something that I may use as I'm mentoring someone. I think that like would be a key piece. Here I have an A that indicates this is something that I personally want to take action on. And so I got to go through and figure out where that's going to fit in my life. Also, I'll have this, like I'll do a Q, and that's for quote. So if there's something cool in there that was a quote that I might want to share on social media or just share with the client.
It only took me 6 times to adopt this. So
I also have a Q with the question mark for a question. So if the speaker is just talking and then they throw a question just out there to the audience to challenge us, how would we think about that? And I think, wow, that's a really great question. I'll write the question down and I'll put a Q with the question mark so I can go back and reflect on those questions and just like try to answer those, you know. I have this A with lots of circles around it, kind of like a target. That's like important action.
I do a star.
So different things. I'll use a HM for HEROMOM. So if it's something that I think applies really well to the HEROMOM community or to what we're doing there in our programs, I'll put that. But my point is then I could go back later and look at what things I need to take action on, what I want to use a mentor. Sometimes I'll even take different highlighter colors for each one. So as I'm on the phone with my clients when I'm coaching, I can quickly refer to those pieces until I get this all organized and typed out. And then one last thing that I love to do is I'll take my journal, I'll turn it upside down and go from the back. And anytime I have business ideas that come up, I'll write them. I'll write them from the back and just start like, you know, I've done so many like drawings and notes and business things. I started planning out a retreat. I didn't get very far on that, as you can see. But that's how I use my journal because I never get through the whole thing. So I always have these blank pages, but I like all the inspiration, the thoughts, the motivation, everything in one book so that I know where that came from and when that came from. So Kelly, what about you? Like, what are some of the ways that you've done it?
That's funny. I took, like I said, it took me the 6th time to adopt your system, which is like brilliant, by the way. It just was difficult for me to adapt to that and understand it for what I was doing. And every time I've gone, different things land differently. And I'm, you know, I have leveled up my game to, enough that, you know, it's just a different thing for me now. But this is like an old journal. I'm very detail oriented. I like order. I like it to be flat and pretty. And so this is like last year. This is this year. Look how like it's like not even flat. It's like bent. You can see it's not even straight because it was over my knee and how I was like writing furiously, you know. And so it has a very different feel to me this year, and I'm okay with that. Like the binder part is like squishy and like feels like it's gonna fall apart, and then like that would have driven me nuts. But I'm like, ooh, this is good stuff because I know that I was putting some heart and soul into that, and, you know. But now I'm able to quickly go back and find things, and you know, I don't do a separate page for books or anything. I just put book in the margin so I can find it, but. There's always, you know, when you're taking notes, if someone's repeating something twice, then it's important enough to write down. So keep that in mind too. It's only taken me a couple times to figure that out, you know, in a different setting. You know, in a school setting, I'd be like everything. But if they're like, blah, 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 I'll repeat that again, blah, blah, blah. And then they repeat it again slower so that you can write it down. You better be writing that down. So, you know, those would be my note taking. I do leave an open page I always put my phone number. I don't want to show it too much to people, but I always put that in there because if I lose this, I hope somebody calls me and says, hey, I have this High Performance Academy binder. Hopefully maybe they'll read through it and go, wow, you know, but you know, hopefully they'll return it to me. So I always put my name, and I didn't yet, but I put the date so that I know when I went. I took a furious amount of notes. I've gotten much better at note taking, just because of coaching my clients. I'm, having to notate pretty much everything they say, so that I can remember it and then I can provide them with good notes too. So I've gotten much better at that. And I was pretty proud of the amount of notes I took, because it just shows me that I was engaged, and that the learning and the content was engaging enough, that I was getting something out of that. So yeah, that's what I love my journals.
Yeah. So next step is for us to go through, sort of process it again, and look for things that we can pull out to teach others, because that's going to help it stick more in our own brains. I like to take the concepts that are given, especially if there's frameworks, and adapt them to the HEROMOM, adapt them to my kids, adapt them to me. Like, how can I use those to implement in real life, in a way that is in my life language, so that it doesn't just be information that's in my head, that great concept, but I don't do anything with it. So that's really huge for me. And then also, sometimes in conferences, they're not necessarily speaking in terms of frameworks. So I might take notes on what they say and look for the framework formulas in the notes that I've taken from what they've said. Although most, I say at the High Performance Academy, there's a lot of teaching that comes in from the form of a framework, which I think is really a really great way to teach.
And when Paula talks about it, what?
I said, it kind of drives me crazy when speakers don't use frameworks.
I know frameworks is your love language, honey. But when Paula talks about frameworks, for example, when someone says the 5 to-dos to crush it. Oh, there's a framework. There's going to be 5 things they're going to tell you. So you better start writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's an example of a framework.
Just in case you didn't know, but there's also other frameworks, like visual frameworks, right? Like there's, let me show you one. So don't make fun of my drawings, but we're trying to write really fast and not miss anything. So here was a framework, a visual framework, where he drew it up on a big board. And there's another one that I thought my favorite framework, where there were so many, there's a couple really awesome from guest speakers as well, but this was my absolute favorite framework all weekend. The 4 aspirations.
Saying that was 4.
Theory.
Yeah.
4
or you can start with good framework that isn't always recognizable to me is when you're kind of telling a story, but I'm getting better at it. And you say, well, first, and then. So it's not a numbered, but it's it's almost like a process.
Yeah, it's a method. It's a system.
Right.
And you can find that a lot in books, right?
Yes.
People are, especially when they're like personal development books, because they're teaching you something, right? So when they start talking like that in books, that's a great way to identify that. I've done that a ton too. But yeah, we have lots to share moving forward, but I thought the anchor question was going to be huge for us, because it was kind of really, I feel like that was kind of the overarching, his theme was presence and spirit. So it was, to me, that is totally a strength that comes from within, a consciousness that comes from within, and intention.
Mel just hopped on. Mel, the framework master.
Mel's the master of
Hi,
frameworks.
Mel.
Oh my God. I went to his conference. First of all, I was talking to my friend Charlotte Farrow. Love that lady. And she's in his mastermind. And she told me, we were just talking. And I said, I just see things always in frameworks. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to Mel's event. You have to come with me. He's a frameworks guy. I'm like, he is? Please, can I come? And the whole weekend, the whole conference was framework after framework after framework. And I was like, oh my God, I love his brain.
Love language.
Spirit mentor. Yes, we speak the same language. And his teachings of how to use frameworks and the psychology behind it is insane. I've never, ever seen anybody teach it like that. And it just completely opened my world. It took me to a whole nother framework level, which was huge for me. So my goal is to get in that man's mastermind, because I know his brain thinks like me, and I can learn quickly that way. So I appreciate him so much for putting what he knows out there. And I see, I see his frameworks. When Brendan talks, I see it when Anthony talks. I recognize those frameworks.
Me
so
too.
he's sharing it with those guys for sure, teaching them how to get those frameworks. But yeah, he's an amazing man. It's so awesome to be in those environments where you get to meet these incredible people, so smart, with so many tools to help other people and help all of us like get to that next level of ourselves too. I say that next level, that's a Brendan word, it's a personal development word or phrase, because that's why we're there, right? We're there because we want more. And this is a way, the frameworks are such an awesome way to learn, teach, communicate. And I love them. I love them to pieces. Even if you aren't a framework person in terms of like, you don't think that way, when you share information, when it's put in a framework and taught to you, you get it. Like you just do. Just so much easier to understand and implement. So I appreciate him and all of the stuff that he's taught. This book, I'm going through his book, still perfecting it, but so many topics that have come up that have helped me better understand myself, my brand, how to communicate with other people, how to explain things and teach things. It's just totally improved everything about what I'm trying to do.
He said we rock.
Aww.
We appreciate you, Mel, for sure.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mel. You guys, thanks so much for joining us. If you have any questions, Mel, I would love for you to drop in what what program you have going on right now. I know you have a live event coming up soon. If you have that information, but anything you have that people, after everything we said, people are like, okay, well, don't just tell us. How do you find out more? If you would drop that in or have someone on your team drop that in, or just send it to me and I'd be happy to share it because it is huge. If you guys are online entrepreneurs or if you're teachers, trainers, leaders of any kind, you have to have these tools to be at your highest level of effectiveness. That's what I believe anyway, as a learner and a trainer and a teacher. So thank you guys so much. Is the framework info and high performance habits? See, I knew somebody was going to ask about it. This is my friend Brenda, who is an awesome entrepreneur herself and has her own business, and I'm sure his training team and all that kind of stuff. Brenda, he has a completely different curriculum that's outside of high performance in terms of teaching how to use frameworks to get your message across, to explain your brand, to explain to your target audience how they can use what you offer to progress and get from where they are to where they want to be in steps that are doable and digestible. So I'll send you his link if he doesn't pop that in, but you can also click on his name, Mel Abraham.
Yeah.
And see, he's got this influencers program. He has a lot of different programs around business, so you should explore them all. But click on his name, you'll go to his page, and then you'll be able to see all the other stuff that he has going on there. But also, I'm happy to send it to you too. Okay, girl? All right. You guys, you have an awesome Tuesday. What an awesome day.
I know.
Having some time with us. We're so glad to be home and hanging out with you guys again. And we will see you tomorrow morning on what day is tomorrow, Kelly?
Hump day.
See you guys on Hump Day.
Have a great Tuesday.